Okay, welcome back to our next session. So we went through a unit outline, and now we're going to actually go into the bulk of this unit, create a markup language document. Theory section, theory, course content, 1.3, section 2, or 2, introduction. Theory section. What is create a markup language document? So what's basically this unit about? It is a type of text document syntax to describe how the information is to be presented. An example of a markup language is HTML, or hypertext markup language. Hyper comes from hyperlink, which enables documents or text to be linked to each other, hence a web page. But as time moved on, added features were integrated into HTML syntax. Generally, you need an interpreter to decode the markup language. An example of an interpreter is a web browser, like Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Opera, etc. And they're the icons: Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. Our main lessons will be Microsoft Edge and probably Google Chrome. What's front end and back end? This slide sort of summarizes how web pages is sort of like organized, I guess. You have the client side, which uses HTML, CSS, and then I put JavaScript in between the two of them because now you can have JavaScript on the server, not just on the client side. And on the server side, you have Node.js, Express.js, and then you have a database system, maybe like MongoDB. And how does the server communicate with the database? It can communicate through middleware, and you extract the data, and the data might be in some sort of format. It could be in a JSON file or an XML file. Can't quite see, but there's an example of XML information. Let's just have a look. I should have started Microsoft Edge before. Go away. Google.com. We might do XML. W3 school 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 XML. And there we can find some examples of XML data. And there's an example of what XML data will look like. You might have an XML question mark, a tag. So that's an example of XML. And then the other example I wanted to show you was JSON, J-A-S-O-N, or J-S, no A, JSON. And that's an example of JSON. It comes in value pairs. That's what they called value pairs. Name represents John, age represents 30, car is nothing. There's nothing in car. But that's just to show you what JSON syntax looks like. And that's what XML syntax looks like. So that's how you can extract or share data between the server and the database. That's what that's for. So our HTML is on the front end, and that's what we'll be focusing on. Front end, just HTML. And then just some other terms while we're on terms and introduction to things of web development. What is Node.js? Node.js is a JavaScript runtime built on Chrome version 8 JavaScript engine. Node.js is a platform built on Chrome's JavaScript runtime for easily building fast and scalable network applications. So Node is on the server side, and it's built for back-end development. Node is a way to run JavaScript files. You need to install the Node application on your computer to run the code written in JavaScript. And JavaScript has an extension of JS, where HTML has .htm or .html. JavaScript JS file without using your browser. So you can run JavaScript without using your browser as long as you have Node.js installed on your computer, basically. What is Node.js? Node.js uses an event-driven, non-blocking input-output or I/O model that makes it lightweight and efficient. Perfect for data-intensive, real-time applications that run across distributed services. In Node.js and JavaScript, is Node.js and JavaScript the same? In a way. JavaScript is a programming language that is used for writing scripts on the website. It's not actually a programming language, it's more of a scripting language. Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment. So if you write JavaScript code and you want it to run, you need to have Node.js installed. So then in that way, it does become a programming language. Because, or not really, because Node is actually interpreting the script. Node.js code can be run outside the browser. So running JavaScript can be run outside the browser as long as you have Node to interpret the commands that you issue. Node.js examples include creating or deleting server files, as well as opening, read and write operations to server databases. Node is event-driven, with events including HTTP requests and responses. Or you can do other things. Node.js is an open-source cross-platform runtime environment for developing server-side and networking applications. Node.js applications are written in JavaScript and can be run within Node.js runtime on OS X, Microsoft Windows, and Linux. Node.js also provides a rich library of various JavaScript modules, which simplifies the development of web page applications using Node.js to a great extent. Getting tongue-tied there. Node.js equals runtime environment plus JavaScript library. How to install Node.js on Kali Linux. So there's some steps and examples of how to install Node on Kali Linux, but for this period of time, we're going to skip Linux or Unix or Kali Linux and just use it in Windows. I've decided. Verifying installation executing a file. So after you installed Kali Linux, after installing Node on Kali Linux, you can test it by creating a little small file, a JavaScript file. have the following code. So you would write just these 2 lines in a JavaScript in a file called Node.js, and then at the command prompt type node main.js, and it will output this hello world. So console.log hello world. So that's just a little bit about Node.js and a JavaScript file. But we won't go into that. That's just for your curiosity and for future lessons. What is Express? Express is a minimal and flexible Node.js web application framework that provides a robust set of features for web and mobile applications. What is Express used for? The primary use of Express is to provide server-side logic for web and mobile applications, and as such is used all over the place. How does Express work? Express is a middleware based. It is basically funnels incoming requests through a chain of middleware or steps where we can do something with the request, read some data from it, manipulate it, check if the user is authenticated, or basically send back a response immediately. What is Express programming? Express is a popular, unopinionated web framework written in JavaScript and hosted with the Node.js runtime environment. So basically, Express is like helper files that actually help the JavaScript language. So Express is basically like, I suppose, .NET, because it has all the code already written, which helps you write a computer program. Basically, that's Express. But then you have NPM. You have modules. NPM is a package manager for Node.js. So that also has other JavaScript programs written by someone else that's posted on the web. And in particular, you use NPM, which is a package manager. It puts modules in place so that Node can find them and manage dependency conflicts integrally. It is extremely configurable to support a wide variety of use cases. Most commonly, it is used to publish, discover, install, and develop Node programs. Dependencies, conflicts, and intelligently. Shannon's definition. Or NPM is a package manager where you find source code or functions that can be used with Node.js script programming files. There was a spelling mistake. To use JavaScript file store in a NPM site, you use npm install and then the module name. Example, npm install express. Code syntax. So inside a JavaScript file, to use express, you create a variable, call it, and assign it a variable name express equals require. So that means to include the express module or the express.js file. So require is just like using include or using system.net. So that's how you include other libraries. And that's what stdioh and system.net is. Including other libraries. NPM adds libraries or source code or other software functions that you can use in the programs that you write. These library information is stored in folders, and JSON file is used for it, such as conflict and settings information. C activity 000 set up for web development, Atom and Google Chrome. So we might, we're towards the end, we're up to the practical part. So C activity 00 set up for web development. We need a text editor, so we don't set up a text editor, a text editor, so we can create our markup language. And to do that, we're going to use Atom. You can use Visual Studio or just use plain Notepad. So you can use any text editor. And these tutorials will be done in Windows 10 with Atom as a text editor, and Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome as your browser for testing. These tutorials can also be done in Kali Linux. Install 64-bit using a virtual machine inside Windows 10. Activity. Okay, so now we're up to the activity. Activity 000 set up for web development. So we're not doing Kali Linux, so we'll skip that, and we should go to the blue highlighted section. And the blue highlighted section should have the instructions, and that's what Atom looks like in Kali Linux. And that's another example of what the interface looks like in Kali Linux. Windows application, you can use Visual Studio Express, and Windows application, you can install Visual Studio or Visual Code, and extensions that you might want to include are these extensions that you need to install and these optional extensions. Okay, this is what we want. We want the blue highlighted section. This is for Windows. Set up web development in Windows 10 with Atom as a text editor and Google Chrome as a browser. Note, see doc folder and 000 set up for web development in such and such browser.docx for more detailed instructions. So there's instructions here, but there's screen captures and everything in this document. So I might just minimize this document, and if you recollect, on Moodle, if you log on to Moodle and you download all your files, you should have created a folder already with the course code. I didn't actually go through that, creating a folder and saving it. But if you go into Moodle and you download all the material in the zip folder, the zip folder will probably be called zip folder probably be called that actually. New folder, that'll be the folder name. So you probably need to create the folder, and I might just do that. Send to compress zip folder. So I'm just making the same zip folder that you'll see on Moodle, just to show you how to extract the files. Okay, so once we've got onto Moodle and downloaded our zip file, we just create a new folder. Actually, I might delete that again. Delete, yes. So I might press or right click, or press F2 on the keyboard and rename, copy that folder name, create new folder, paste the same name. No, I don't want int. I want ICTWEB452 create a markup language document. So that's my folder, and this is my zip folder because it has zip on the end. So if I double click the zip folder and I've removed this window across here, this is the folder I created on the desktop. This is my zip folder, and if I double click and then I select all the documents, and then if I just drag it onto the folder I created on my desktop, and now it's extracting all the files that I need. Okay, so I can close that. Now, this is our folder. So there you go. We have our Word document. We have our learner guide and our learner guide in PDF format, and we have all supporting documents in the docs folder. So if I double click the docs folder, and there we go, we have all our documents. So in our learner guide, in the introduction section, in the practical section, it says set up for web development in Windows 10 with Atom as a text editor and Google Chrome as a browser. Note, see doc folder. Okay, so this is our doc folder, and we want to look for C doc folder and 000 set up for web development in Windows 10. So 00 set up for web development in Windows 10 with Atom as a text editor and Google Chrome as a web browser. So that's our file that we want. So if we double click that, it should have our instructions on how to download Atom as our text editor. View ruler. Okay. I'll minimize that. And I'll minimize that one and go back to our set up web development for Windows 10. Okay, introduction. What we're going to do in this tutorial. So this is our practical activity tutorial. Actually, I might stop it there. I'll make a separate video for this. Actually, I might just close it and come back to it and continue. Stop recording.